Rockers in Recovery Media is dedicated to carrying the message of addiction recovery through music, news, events, and festivals taking place within and not limited to the clean and sober community.
Hey, John Hollis with Rockers in Recovery. Thanks for tuning in tonight and being a part of Rockers in Recovery. If you check us out at rockersinrecovery.com, gives you a whole lot of information on what we're doing and how we do it. Rockers in Recovery is a media company, and we do all kinds of different things in media. We, of course, do shows like this on our podcast. We also have our own radio station at rockersinrecovery.com. You can click on the radio station interface and engage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just by clicking the Listen Live button on the right-hand side on rockersinrecovery.com. We also do concerts and festivals and other things across the country. We're doing our last one in South Florida. It's going to be at the 101 Club, and we're looking forward to going on down to the 101 Club, and that's in Pompano Beach, and we're going to have a 2-day extravaganza. The meet and greet is going to be on November 10th, and the festival will be on November 11th. If you want more information on that, you can go to rockersinrecovery.com, and you can click on the event tab on the navigation buttons up top, and it'll give you all the information, who's going to be there, what we're going to be doing, and how we're going to be doing it. You can also find us at Facebook, Rockers in Recovery at Facebook, and you can click on the events there and see all kinds of information there, too. Of course, we look forward to our shows on the air, and we also, of course, look forward to putting out blogs and different information that happens on a daily basis and news and across the globe, and you can find that at Rockers in Recovery on Facebook, and you can also find some of that at rockersinrecovery.com by clicking on the blogs. Look forward to having you visit the site. Tonight we got a pretty cool show. We have, of course, treatment and recovery. And the recovery aspect has to come first, and we have a great guy on tonight, Mike Demasi. Mike is somebody that I've had the honor of meeting a couple of years ago. He traveled to Maine with us for a festival that we did up there, but most importantly, he was able to show me over the last few years what recovery really looks like. Great guy, and he puts a face on recovery, and he does that on a daily basis. And we'll bring him on the line and talk to him. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Good, John. How's it going?
Good, man. So
great,
Mike,
great.
Where did it all begin? How did recovery begin for you? And, when did you finally get to the point where you said, something, I'm done?
For me, it was after 13 years of active addiction. And, looking back, in the beginning of those 13 years, I wouldn't have thought it was active addiction, But at the end, it was an emotional bottom. It was a feeling that, besides all the consequences, loss of relationship, loss of a normal life, it was that emotional pain that I just felt pretty much disgusted with myself, and I think that's what really made the difference for me.
Did you get to a point, because I know for myself, I got to a point where I was just like, something, this is insane. I'm hurting everybody around me. Everybody that comes in contact with me in active addiction ends up affected one way or another. Loved ones, family members, mom, dad, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, all of that. Did you see that at that point, or was that something that came later after you got clean?
Oh yeah, and that's definitely a huge part of it. Unfortunately for me, that was my normal life. So when I was about 9 days, I'm coming up on 5 years, October 29th, and my birthday is November 7th. So, right around that time in 2012, having broken relationships and inconsistency in my life was just normal. So that was a big eye opener when I came to realize that, and I said, I can't do this anymore.
So what was the first step for you? What did you do? Did you just say, something, you called a friend, you called a loved one? How did it begin for you when you said, okay, something, I want help? Where did you go next?
Well, for me, I've been exposed to, it's crazy because I went to my first AA meeting when I was 16. I was exposed to my first treatment and more in-depth recovery when I was 17, 18. So I already knew what the solution was, and I don't know, it was a collaboration of things, It was a relationship, it was a job, it was my mother, it was my brother, it was my father. And in the back of my mind, I've seen it work for others. So I'm not. I don't really know how to answer that. It was just kind of going back to maybe just doing what I've done and going into it with an open mind and acting like this may be like a different experience for me.
Did you find that there was a lot of fear and anxiety? I mean, because as we're talking, something, there might be a newcomer out there listening right now or somebody that is on the fence and might want to make a decision to move forward in their recovery, however that may be. So if you were talking to that person, what would you say to them?
If I was talking to that person, whether that be a newcomer or somebody like myself who took multiple attempts before it actually stuck for a nice amount of time, would be that, the hardest thing to do is to just listen to other people and trust that maybe this person has the best, these people that we come across in our journey of trying to get better really do have the best interest in heart. I mean, more than less, and trusting that maybe, my decisions, I know, always led me back to needing help again. And if you do your research and these people check out that you're researching and reaching out to help, that maybe, rely on them and take some advice.
Good stuff, man. Where do you find yourself today? I mean, where's your recovery today? What do you do to maintain that spiritual axiom that gets you through each day? What do you do?
5 things. It was told to me in 2010, and if I would have just stuck that out, I wouldn't have. It was a good thing, but it was a bad thing, right? So 5 things the guy in New York told me, my old sponsor. If I pray every morning, I call my sponsor, I read some literature, I make a meeting or help someone else, and I pray at night. Those are 5 things that I do on a daily basis, and it keeps me connected. And that's what it's all about. It's about doing this thing on a daily basis, because when I relapsed last, prior to this last journey in recovery, it was months after I stopped doing my maintenance, So it's important that I continue to do that on a daily basis, regardless of how I feel.
Do you find, as somebody that came from, you started out, as you said, 16, 17-year-old kid, you weren't ready yet when you started, and there is a stigma not only against addiction from the regular community, but if you are in the rooms and you relapse, people tend to have a stigma against you there too. So how did you feel now where you're starting to help other people that might be a chronic relapser themselves? They might be somebody that was struggling and not having the ability to commit at that time. How do you feel working with somebody like that now?
So as a professional, I keep my recovery and my career separate. So I don't ever count anybody out, When somebody calls me, I have a list of people that I've helped numerous times. Eventually, I ask them to start reaching out to somebody else, because there's not much more I can offer that person, and I'm not just going to watch somebody repeat the same thing. But when I went to treatment in 2012, the therapist looked across at me and said, I don't even know if I could help you. You've been everywhere. What's going to be different this time? And I was the underdog. So I believe that this can happen and this can work for anybody, and I think everybody is worth as many shots as it takes to get better, because that's what it's all about. I've had numerous shots, but if I'm continuously seeing the same person come across my path, I'm going to put them in touch with somebody different, because there's a lot of options out there. And I don't know what it was for me that clicked this last time, but it wasn't doing the same thing over and over again,
Good stuff. So you're coming up on 5 years, is that correct, or 6 years?
Yeah, October 29th, God willing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. Congratulations on that. And
thank you, sir.
I understand that you also have been over the last 3 years, as you just alluded to, that you have some treatment industry experience where you've worked with different organizations to help people into the recovery process. You are working at a detox center at Amethyst Recovery Center. Their detox.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and, what you do there?
Yeah, so I'm the Director of Community Outreach. I came on January 1 of 2017, and, it's a beautiful, brand new, state-of-the-art detox res, 20 beds for both, 20 detox beds, 20 res, and pretty much what my job to do is on a daily basis is to work with clinical on our end, make sure the clients are doing what they need to do as far as following through with their program and working with other professionals in the community, whether that's advocacy groups, other treatment providers, hospitals, private therapists, and just letting people know that, we have availability and we have the opportunity to help somebody. And with what our staff offers, all the BHTs, we always have 4 BHTs on. And, they're personally in recovery with well over a year, so they're able to really get in there and be more of a peer support aspect for the client as well as a staff member. Our clinicians, our nurses, everybody is great, and we offer stellar services. And
you can check out what Mike is talking about by going to amethystrecovery.org. That's amethystrecovery.org. You can also give them a call at 877-957-6237, and you can click on where it says treatment, and it will actually talk to you about medical detoxification, where is what Mike's doing over there. And, of course, Mike, as we're talking and we're going through the process here, we have a couple of minutes left. If you could share, your hope with a loved one that might be struggling with somebody like, me and you used to be, what would you say to them for them to get help for a loved one?
For a loved one. That's I've actually had the ability to help one of my loved ones out, and it was actually more difficult than typically just helping somebody random that calls out or reaches out to me. And what I would do is first and foremost, it's about setting boundaries and expectations. And there's a fine line between enabling and supporting. And there's a various, all of our staff are like recovery coaches or support specialists who are able to help with that intervention process. And I would just say to really set a firm foundation on what you need to do to encourage and cut off at the same time, to maybe delay that addiction process from just continuing. And get involved in a family group. Treatment centers that don't involve family groups or without that family component, it seemed to be doomed. It's a long road, and for the loved one, there's a recovery process for you as well. Pretty much starts with the family program once that person is in somewhere that they're getting treatment, and then a personal recovery such as Al-Anon or Nar-Anon or something like that. Because I know for my mother, I wasn't the only one suffering, and my brother and my father, and they've had their own journey in the past 5 years as I had mine. So that's really, it goes way more into that, but that's definitely a good start.
Mike, we appreciate you being on. I also want to thank, of course, your continued support, and Sam's the best, continued support to be able to get our message out, and the Rockers in Recovery radio shows and all of our media content and all of those things that we do and the upcoming events that we do. You guys have been a huge supporter of all of that, and we really, really appreciate Amethyst and Sam and yourself for supporting that. We look forward to seeing you at the event on November 11th.
Absolutely. We appreciate you too, John. You have a good night.
All right, brother. Thanks for calling in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right. All right, guys, there you go. Mike's a great guy, and, of course, great message of hope. Where it begins, I've gone through my ups and downs, and, listen, the end result is that we get to be able to carry a message of hope, and we get to be able to do that in a way that, is personalized, and it's between us and our higher power sometimes. And God utilizes us, I believe, in certain ways that might be totally different than somebody else, and how we transmit that. So.
It all came down just like a slow motion crash. Can't remember the details, they all went by so fast. Now I know I made a few mistakes. I guess that's all it really takes. When the work slowed down and things began to slide, started drinking in the day and looking for a place to hide. I came home one night, found my bags outside the door. I guess she didn't want me there no more. I didn't realize how much my life changed on that day. I was watching my whole world slowly slip away. The will is strong until it breaks. I guess that's all it really takes. Did odd jobs and hung out down at the bar. Got wasted every night, sleeping out back in my car. I staggered down late one night, my car was gone. I knew it was time for moving on.
Days passed and I learned the way of the streets, where they'll cut you for a buck and take the shoes right off of your feet. But the others were just like me, we all had to live our fate. I guess that's all it really takes.
I couldn't understand how I let it all slip away. I missed my whole life, missed it more each day. The will is strong until it breaks. I guess that's all it really takes.
Weeks turned into months, but the booze just blurred the time. Panhandling on the corner with my Jesus loves you sign. Someone told me I could change, there were steps I could take. The idea made my soul just ache. So I went to a meeting, told myself it was just to see. When I heard their stories, I knew they were just like me. I
found a place where I felt safe. And that is what it really takes. I'm so glad I realized that I could change my way. All places and people, I had to put them away. A few new friends and one good book, and that is what it really took. A few new friends and one good book, and by the grace of God, it took.
Hey, Tim Ryan here with the Man in Recovery Foundation. Just got in from Arkansas. Want to let you know, Rockers in Recovery is having a big event November 11th at the 101 Club in Pompano Beach, Florida. Going to have a ton of music, fellowship. I have the opportunity to come down. I get to speak, share a little bit of hope. Really excited about this event. So if you are in the Florida area, Palm Beach down to Miami, Lake Worth, whatever, head to the 101 Club. Starts at 2 in the afternoon, $10 entrance fee. Come on in, share some fellowship. Again, I will be speaking there. Really honored to be able to come in and be a part of this. If you want to follow me, you can check us out on Facebook, From Dope to Hope, or check out our foundation, www.amirf.org, or for my full-time career, I'm a National Outreach Director for Transformations Treatment Center out of Delray Beach. We will also be a sponsor for this event. Look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.
Rockers in Recovery Radio is based on opinion only and is not meant to treat or diagnose any health or mental health issue of any kind. If you feel you need help for any health-related issues, please contact a physician or mental health professional. The opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of Rockers in Recovery.